Let's take a look at the top talkers of the day. Donald Trump has been fired from NBC. He has been fired from Univision and Macy's over controversial remarks during his presidential announcement. Yet he is soaring in the polls. What is going on here? Trump placed second in a national CNN poll released Wednesday, with 12% of the GOP primary voters saying that they were most likely to support him in the 2016 run for the White House. He trails only Jeb Bush in the poll, who garnered 19% of support from early voters. Now, Iowa, of course, one of the early caucus states, has Trump locked in a fight for second place with former neurosurgeon Ben Carson. New Hampshire's support for Trump is also on the rise. Now, the flood of support is surprising for many after Trump made controversial comments regarding Mexican nationals and illegal immigrants during his June 16th announcement for his run as president. Now, while the surge in popularity may mean nothing in the long run, some Republican leaders fear that his polarizing stance on social issues may turn voters away from the message behind more prominent GOP candidates like a Jeb Bush, like, I mean, there's a lot of them out there. And a lot of people are saying, look, this is a flash in the pan of, many GOP candidates for the nomination, and he's kind of serving as a distraction, which I think they're concerned about. I don't think realistically a lot of people that are really in the know see that Donald Trump is going to that he will win the Republican nomination. What they're concerned about, of course, we are going to be starting some of these debates in August, I believe, for the Republican nominees, and they're concerned that if he is really high up in those polls, he's going to push down some of the more legitimate contenders, which could ultimately weaken the Republican push for the White House. Because again, this is just primaries. They still have to face off in a general election. They have to face off whoever wins the Democratic nomination. So a lot of people are speculating, but I think moreover, everyone is just surprised. Because they thought after the controversy, after he was fired from all these businesses, and the companies cut ties with him, that he would drop in the polls. It's doing the complete opposite. Very strange.
Yeah, definitely. All right, switching gears. The final for the FIFA Women's World Cup are set as the semifinal between Japan and England closes out with a devastating loss for England. The game was as exciting and intense as the first semifinal between the United States and Germany. This game also had 2 penalty kicks, one for each side, Japan scoring the first PK in the 31st minute and England scoring their PK in the 39th minute. It seemed as if the game would be headed into overtime, which would have been great news for the United States, but in the 91st minute, the first minute of stoppage time, England defender Laura Bassett scored an own goal, sending Japan, the defending world champs, to the World Cup final once again. A very, very cruel way for England to be knocked out of their deepest World Cup run in 4 appearances. England will now face Germany for the 3rd place on Saturday, while a rematch from 2011 takes place in the World Cup finals between the United States and Japan. Both the 3rd place game and the final can be watched right here on Tukasa. I can't even tell you, that is, I'm sure that there are worse ways to lose in a soccer match, but I honestly cannot think of one. It's in stoppage time. So stoppage time is if there's injuries on the field, it's the extra added minute. So 90 minutes is a soccer game, but if there's injury, they add stoppage time. There's 3 minutes of stoppage time. This happened at 91:35, so that only gave them a minute to get a goal. And it stinks because England was right there with him the whole time. And the defender, when it comes down to it, in my soccer opinion, she made the right decision, because as a defender, you never want to allow the opposing team to get a cross off, so you'll throw your body in front of it because crosses are very dangerous. And so she did the right thing, throwing her foot out there. It was just the most unfortunate way for the ball to bounce. Oh, it was so hard to watch, and then I just can't imagine just being her, because it's the farthest that England has made. They deserved to be in that game. They had been playing great soccer, and it was just painful.
Comes down to a horrible mishap.
I scored an own goal once.
Really?
At a soccer tournament with college coaches there.
How did you feel?
Awful.
So multiply that by what, 10 million?
There's nothing, it was just terrible. Wow. So, yeah. But USA, Japan, on Sunday, rematch.
right here.
Revenge.
To Casa. That's right, guys. All right. Well, lastly, Edith Masefield's Seattle home, you may know it, is the famous Up House, surrounded by stores and offices after the elderly woman refused to sell to developers, may finally be meeting the wrecking ball. This is kind of a sad story here. A broker representing the home says that it could be knocked down in 90 days unless a nonprofit organization is willing to take it for free and move it. Now, earlier this year, a woman bought the home in hopes of turning it into a pie shop to be called Edith Pies, of course, in the name of the woman that originally owned the home. However, real estate broker Paul Thomas says that it would be virtually impossible to bring the 115-year-old home up to the city's current code. The city is open to suggestions on how to save the house in its current location, but making the enterprise economically viable is the major hurdle here. The house currently sits boarded up in between those Seattle superstructures that you saw there. And this, this reminds me, because we've had this happen here in New Mexico quite a bit. Of course, the historic Route 66, we had the Alvarado Hotel that was a beautiful, beautiful piece of architecture. That lot is now, it literally is a parking lot. And we lost that structure. So I think that it is important to hold on to some of these icons of of your city and heritage, and you may rebuild. You may like build something that is similar to the facade, but it's not the original building. So it seems to me that hopefully some entrepreneurial outlet out there, some nonprofit organization will come up with a way to save the house. And my hope, really, not even that they move it, that it stays there. It stays, yeah. Because that's part of the history.
Exactly,
and I think that every Albuquerquean that is familiar with what happened with the Alvarado Hotel and some of the other historic buildings, thank goodness we still have our historic chemo theater, our beautiful landmarks. Once they're gone, that is a piece of history that is gone. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed that home stays.
Yeah.